Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today we're going to talk about threat and how it's generated, how it works. A lot of people's asked questions. I've had questions about it. We know that there's ways to generate threat. We just don't know how much or what is actually generating the threat when you're doing dungeons or doing the expeditions, as some say. Even if you're in a group together and you're not in a dungeon, it works the same way, but we just kind of had questions about how it works. Luckily, a New World developer answered those questions because it seems like a lot of other people besides myself had those questions as well, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. I want to give credit to Original Two Beers who posted this on Reddit. This is where I found it, but I just kind of wanted to cover it and go over it so that you kind of understand it. I understand it better, and then when you're doing expeditions, you will have a better understanding of how threat is generated, so you can help the tank out. People jump in there and just go ham on things and don't even care. But as you get into the higher dungeons, you want to care. Basically, let's get right into it. It starts out, hi everyone. Let's great follow-up discussions. It's talking about the threat and how it's generated, how it works. So healing is a way of generating threat. I knew that. A lot of people may not know that, but it's equal to the amount of health you actually by the spell. So if you cast Sacred Ground, but no one stands in the AoE, no threat is generated. But if you heal a damaged player for 150 health, then you do generate 150 threat towards everyone, or every AI already in combat. Healing a player who is at full health and you didn't technically heal them, you generate no threat. So it's actually equal to the amount of heals that you do. If you have a Carnelian Gem socketed, if you want to be a tank, please socket that Carnelian Gem. Even if it's a level 1, that's better than having nothing. So it also unlocks the taunt abilities, which we'll get into in just a second. Socketing a Carnelian Gem into a weapon both enables taunts, so it enables the taunt feature in some of your effects, and it increases the base threat you generate with attacks. The threat increase percentage depends on the tier of Carnelian Gem that is socketed in your weapon. There are different tiers, obviously, and as the higher tiers go, the more threat you generate. I think the tier 1 does 100%, tier 2 does a 200%, and so on and so forth. To get those, you from silver ore veins and gold ore veins, you can buy them. They're not expensive anymore. The prices have gone down, so you can buy them in the auction house. So if you just want to switch over and be a tank, buy you a gem real quick, unless you have one on hand. When you have aggro on AI, that's an AI's nameplate, will have a bright red highlight around it. That is a big thing that a lot of people do. I was myself. A lot of times there's MMOs out there, WoW in particular. Well, if you're targeting the boss or whatever, you can see who they're targeting. I didn't know how to do that, but if a nameplate when you have aggro, when I'm the tank, so if I'm the tank, I want to make sure every one of them has red around their nameplate. If you are looking at something or you see a nameplate that's got red on it, that means you have too much aggro on it. Either stop what you're doing and back off, and attack something else. A lot of times you can work your way around that with just attacking the same thing that the tank is attacking. If the AI's nameplate will have a bright red highlight around it. If the AI has aggro on someone else, the nameplate will appear as if the AI wasn't targeting you. Each AI has their own threat table. This means that if you are fighting 2 skeleton warriors and a skeleton archer who is lurking in the back, the tank needs to make sure they're hitting and taunting the archer. If they ignore the archer, they could find that this AI targets someone else who has more threat, which is usually, unfortunately, the healer. A lot of times for the healer, when I'm healing, I try to line of sight them, so I'll try to get behind something if I can, and if I do, they'll try to move around or get closer, which brings them closer to the tank, because a lot of times you don't want to push further because you'll pull more mobs. You don't want to do that, so try to help out the tank if you can, if you're the healer. Also if you're a DPS as well. Weapon swapping has no impact on threat. It does not increase nor does it decrease your threat, meaning if you're a tank and you hit them a few times, you get aggro when you're sword and board. If you switch over to the warhammer or the axe, the great axe, then you're fine. You're not going to lose any threat. It's not like it resets or anything. Taunt sets your threat a fixed percentage above the current highest threat holder. So if you use taunt to initiate a fight, your initial threat will be rather low. I highly recommend initiating with other abilities or light and heavy attacks, and then use a taunt a few seconds into the fight. Basically what this is saying is you don't want to taunt. It's a fixed percentage. So basically you don't want to go in, taunt, and then attack. So go in, attack a few times, get your threat up a little bit, and then on top of that, because you'll have some threat, it's a fixed percentage on top of that threat already. So the more threat you have, the bigger that percentage is going to be. Say for example, you go in there and you do 300 damage to each enemy, then you're going to do 100%, whatever your Carnelian Gem is, you're going to do 100%, 200%, whatever it equates to, on top of, when you do that taunt, on top of that 300 damage that you just did. Whereas if you go in and just do nothing and you just taunt, then you're stuck with just 100%. Do some damage, then do your taunts. That way you actually generate more threat on top of what you've done. I also appreciate the bugs you've brought up. This basically, there's a lot of issues with that, where things, it doesn't matter what you're attacking or how much threat you're gaining, they're still targeting other players. Hopefully they'll get that fixed. The Carnelian socketed into the amulet is indeed a bug. I didn't know you could actually do that. Carnelians that enable taunt should exclusively be found in weapons, so I've notified our team about that. I didn't know about that issue. The taunt status effect icon doesn't match the duration of the taunts. When you see on the ability tooltip is indeed correct. Thanks to your reports, we're aware of these and investigating it. I haven't had any issues with this. I haven't been tanking as much. I started tanking, but then moved on to the healing because it seemed like I needed, where I had more tanks than healers. We're investigating the reports of AI running towards non-engaged players when you've already aggroed them. I've had issues with this, not inside of dungeons, but outside. I'll be out of aggro range. I'll be over there fishing, minding my own business. Either somebody in my party or somebody not in my party will hit a target and the target just runs towards me for whatever reason. I have no idea what that is or why they're doing that. So hopefully they get this fixed pretty soon. I do appreciate you guys watching this video. It was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but just so you're knowing, this is for everyone. It's not just for anyone that's just tanking. I think it's more for tanks, but it's also let everybody know, especially healers, what you're doing in these dungeons and if you're helping or hurting. So like I said, in the earlier dungeons, I've ran dungeons where we didn't even have a tank. But as you get into these later ones, this is going to count, especially when you get into the depths. The depths is very, very difficult on 2 of the bosses. It's not so much the threat, but it has a lot to do with organizational and who's doing what and who's where, and you got to talk to each other. It really does help, unless you have somebody that's just really overpowered that can get in there, like a level 60, they can go in there and ruin their day, but it still doesn't help when you have people not listening and not doing what they're supposed to. So just hope this helps, and if it did, like I said, please hit a thumbs up. And if you want more videos like this, if you want to come check out me when I'm streaming, I stream 3 days a week. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification, and that'll let you know when I go live and when I upload more videos like this. So I do really do hope this helps, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys out in Eternum.